There are going to be people watching this, they're going to be listening to what you're saying, and you're saying you can get a free property. That's going to blow some people's brains. So how did you find out about this?
And I thought, God, this is easy. Property investing is so easy. You just keep doing this every couple of years.
9 properties. There are some people watching this who would love to have one, and you have 9. So, I think you've done a stellar job. Hello there and welcome back to the Progressive Property YouTube channel. I'm Sean Fitzpatrick and I'm joined here with the one and only Hamish Douglas. Hamish, it's great to have you.
Thank you, Sean. It's good to be here.
Now, we're both from Oxfordshire. There have been times where we've even bumped into each other looking at the same deals, haven't there? But did you always live in Oxford?
No, not all my life. So my dad was in the army. We moved around a lot. But my gran lived in Oxford. So it's been a fairly solid base for me growing up. But as soon as I was an adult, I've moved around, I've travelled abroad, and I've travelled and lived in about 70 countries.
70? 7-0?
Nearly, around about that, yeah.
Wow, so you've got around a lot.
Yeah.
And do you think that just came from, obviously your dad was travelling around a lot, you travelled with him, so you got a bit of a travel bug?
There was definitely a certain amount of that. As a young child, about 2 years was average for me to live in one place before moving on to the next. And then as an adult, I went travelling myself. I really discovered some of the world and adventure and excitement, different cultures. And it was mind-blowing. So I kept doing it and I found work that took me to different countries. So I'm now back in Abingdon, which is just south of Oxford. It's the town that I spent the last few years of my school life in and where I know best. That was one of the reasons I've moved there is because I know it so well.
And do you know the property market there now so well?
Yeah, absolutely. The surrounding area and Oxford, Abingdon, I grew up in it and I know it like the back of my hand.
Fabulous. Well, so before property, a lot of people have a reason to get into property, some kind of driver. And for some people that can be like just an insatiable desire to make money. For some people it can be because they have to and they feel stuck and they need to kind of change something. I mean, did you have any particularly low points before property that kind of made you think maybe property is the way forward?
So I think it works slightly differently for me. From a young age, I felt that property was a good way forward. I mean, it didn't make any sense to me that why would anyone pay rent when they can own a property? But it just seemed to make sense. If you own property, it's going to be stable, it's going to be strong, you're going to make money out of it, and it seemed like a good way forward. I think ultimately what became a realization for me is that with property, every one you take on, that becomes a secure foundation that you can then move forward from. You're not going to move backwards. I've always had an entrepreneurial side to me. And what made sense to me was, well, in any other business, you can build it and it can crumble away. But when you've got property, you just build the next one and then the next one and the next one. And you've always got that behind you. So your foundation is strong.
It's a tangible asset, isn't it? It's a tangible asset class that always exists and over time always goes up in value. It's interesting what you're saying there about it giving you a sense of security and stability, because there is still a kind of little question about like all of that moving around and maybe not feeling that sense of security and stability. Do you think that could have fed into it, or is it not something you've ever really considered?
With moving around, I mean, I had some well-paid jobs, I had some badly paid jobs, and I had some lifestyle jobs that was all about exploring, seeing things, getting to meet people and great experiences. But what I didn't have at any point was the ability to do that and see friends and family back in this country. And I kept looking at every step of the way for something that would give me a solid foundation so that I could still have that freedom to get out there, see friends and family, have a relationship that I'm in one place long enough for that relationship to develop.
I imagine it was pretty challenging, like with relationships if you're moving around.
Yeah, I mean, if you're moving away and you're not seeing someone for a long time, friends and family, it kind of all drifts apart a little bit. And so the idea was I was having this incredible life, but I wasn't sharing it with people. So I needed to build it in a way that gave me the ability to still have those personal relationships and get to do those experiences. And for that, you need something solid. You need something that's gonna always be there.
Makes total sense. And property was the way?
Property was the way.
Okay, so that's really interesting. You've moved around a lot. 70 different countries. I mean, that's insane. We're now settled. We want that security. So what have you done in property?
So I started off as an accidental landlord. I bought my first flat and I lived in that for a year. And then I got a job overseas, and that's when I became the landlord.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Because I was going to ask, like, there'll be some people watching who wonder, what do you mean by accidental landlord? So you bought a property to live in,
Yeah.
and then you moved.
And
So what do you do with the property? You rent it out.
Yeah.
And so you become an accidental landlord. Makes total sense.
Best thing that ever happened to me in a way, because I was then making money from that. Someone was paying off my mortgage for me for that period, and where I bought was the right place at the right time, and property prices just shot up.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I refinanced and I bought the second one. And I thought, God, this is easy. Property investing is so easy. You just keep doing this every couple of years. And then things change.
Yes, I was going to say, yes. So how did things change?
Well, so the second one I bought was at the end of 2015, and you may know that 2016 there was a big change. And there's the EU referendum, we voted for Brexit, and I'd bought in London, and London prices stagnated. The second place that I bought wasn't quite as good an ROI. The rental income wasn't quite as strong, and there were more problems with it.
But here's the thing. It was easy, right? Like you knew it was easy. It was easy. And it feels that way. Yeah. And the thing is, you always think you're right about everything. This is true of everyone, by the way. You always think you're right until the moment you realize you're wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes in property, when you're wrong, it can be wrong big. And was it wrong big, this property, or was it okay?
I wouldn't say it was wrong big. It could have been wrong big. It didn't pay enough money in to cover the costs, and then there were a lot of repairs that needed doing, a lot of uplift.
Okay, so let's fast forward to now. So you've taken us to a point where you became an accidental landlord. You've now got a second property in London, which isn't quite working, but you're still doing property now. So what does your property portfolio look like at the moment?
Okay, so now I've got a third buy-to-let property, which was a lease extension and refurb property, and I did that with a JV business partner. If I'd been in it on my own, it would have been an all money out situation, but he got a very good return, and I got the property.
Fantastic.
And then on top of that, I now have 6 rent-to-service accommodation.
So 6 rent-to-service accommodation. So let me say, so you still got your property that you bought originally.
Yep.
The second one, the Petri dish, is that still in? You still have that?
Well, after about 10 years of going through that one, rents have increased. It covers its costs.
So you went through that lull, that kind of dip, and now you come out clean on the other side with that one. Yeah. Excellent. Then your third property you bought and you sold, or did you refinance it?
So the third one, we did a lease extension. We did the refurb. Yeah. We were looking at selling it. It wasn't the perfect market at the time, so I decided to refinance it and hold it myself and pay out my investor.
Perfect. And then 6 rent-to-service accommodations.
And then 6 rent-to-service accommodations.
So 9 properties altogether.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Henry, that's great work. 9 properties. It's amazing. Do you know what I found really interesting? Before, like when you started out and became an accidental landlord, then you bought another property in London, were you looking at rent-to-service accommodation or rent-to-rent in any way at all?
No.
Why?
No. Well, with the first ones, it didn't occur to me.
It didn't occur to you?
No, I didn't know it was an option. You don't know what you don't know, and it didn't exist to me.
So rent to rent just didn't exist?
No.
And what about the concept of getting your money back out of a deal through adding value and refinancing? Was that a concept that was on your radar?
Yeah, so that was more of a concept. I always thought of it as a flipping only rather than buy, rent, refurbish, and refinance. It's, the idea of it has developed more of, you can actually get free properties. You can get properties where you can pull out a large portion of your money, even if it's not everything. And then the rent can cover the rest of it.
Whoa. So you're saying there are going to be people watching this, and they're going to be listening to what you're saying, and you're saying you can get a free property. That's going to blow some people's brains. So how did you find out about this? Do you want to gain limitless earning potential? As you can see from this video, property investing is the answer. Get the expert's blueprint for success from those who have already built deca-million-pound property portfolios, and avoid the mistakes that uneducated investors don't know about, but we do. Download your free guide now.
Coming across Kevin McDonald. I came across him, he was talking about no money down, and I was like,
no money down.
That's nonsense. But,
So you thought it was nonsense, but you thought it was intriguing.
Yeah.
So if you thought it was nonsense and you found it intriguing, what was it that made you kind of take a chance?
Time. It took a bit of time. I wasn't trusting of Kevin at first. I didn't like him. But what I did like was his energy. And I knew that I started learning about HMOs, I started learning about rent to rents, and I knew that I had a little bit of money, but not enough really to buy anything. So I was trying to work out how to invest it in ways to give me better returns so that I could build that pot and eventually start buying for myself. And I watched him, and the more and more I watched him, the more I realized that, well, maybe this is possible. And I started looking at other stuff online and seeing whether or not someone else might give me the missing bits. And actually, I realized that with all of this, one of the things that you need constantly is extra motivation. You've got to be able to get up and go and do the work. And yeah, listening to Kevin gave me that enthusiasm and gave me that energy. And so I kept listening to him. And I went out. I was actually living in Barcelona, so trying to do all of this in Spanish.
Do you speak Spanish?
Not very well.
Oh, okay.
At the time, I didn't speak any. But yeah, it was difficult, but listening to Kevin kept me motivated. I didn't actually do a course with it at any point, but I secured my first rent to HMO.
So you secured your first rent to HMO just by listening to Kevin. You hadn't done a course at that point, but you secured that just by listening to Kevin and implementing what he says.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then eventually you did come in person to Peterborough, the centre of the universe, and started learning with the guy in person. What was that experience like?
It was everything I expected it to be. Enlightening, it was brain-blowing, motivating, and I knew that it would be, and I knew that I was always going to need something more. And what I kind of came with was the idea that I'm going to learn a lot from this guy. But how am I going to implement it? Because there's a difference from learning and then from doing. And I knew that ultimately what I was really doing in that 3 days was seeing whether or not he was everything that I expected him to be. And if he was, then I wanted to be a follower. And he was. He was everything that I thought he would be.
And you became a follower. Yeah. And then fast forward to now, you've got 6 rent-to-service accommodations.
Yeah, and growing. And feeling positive and knowledgeable enough now that I'm in a relatively comfortable position, and growth is a choice. Now I know that I've got the contacts because every month I go along and Kevin and the other mentors tell us, do this, do that, do the other, and you do it, and you build relationships over time. And now for me, as much as anything, it's a choice of, it's not, oh, am I going to do it? It's, I can do it, because I've got all of the information, all the knowledge, and all the support that I need to be able to do it.
The thing is, if you surround yourself with people who are multimillionaires, who are successful, who are trying to do what you're trying to do, like, that just gives you momentum, doesn't it, to kind of do that thing yourself, because you become your environment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so being in this environment, it sounds like to me, for you, being in this environment was a thing that you needed to kind of just give you that driving force forward. So when you look back and you kind of think what you've achieved now versus what you had achieved before, do you think if you'd come sooner, you would have moved further faster? Or do you think you'd be where you are now?
Without a doubt. I mean, the earlier you do it, the better, right? Because that gives you more time to get it done. You know, I didn't start walking from day one, and it took me a few years of my life to be able to actually run. It's the same with your education. The earlier you get educated, the earlier you get a support, the earlier you get a network, the earlier you start to believe in yourself, the earlier you start to make the relationships and get other people to start believing in you. And then, you know, you'll have people, your friends, your family, your estate agents, the lettings agents, the landlords believe in you because you've got this history, you've got this past, and you've been consistent with your actions all this time. There's no other way other than to succeed.
Yeah, there's no other way other than to succeed, because you're around successful people and you become the next successful person.
Yeah.
There will be people watching this who are kind of thinking, to property or not to property? That is the question. And some people just don't even know how to get into it. So based on your experience, what would you say to those people?
If you don't know how to get into it, do exactly what I did. Start looking at YouTube. Find something that gels well with you. You don't necessarily need to jump in too quickly, but the earlier you do, the more you're going to be able to take action. And if you don't know what to do, you do need to get educated. You need to learn how to do it, what to do in it, and how to make the network.
Amazing. So you're full-time at property now.
Yeah.
No more working these jobs in 70 other countries. Do you feel like you've achieved the stability that you want?
There's always going to be challenges out there. But again, that's why you need your education. That's why you need your network.
it's obviously the right kind of education, surrounding yourself with the right kind of people. Because as I say, become your environment. And if you're in an environment where people are telling you that, not to have money because you're greedy somehow, if you do, then you're not going to have any. So you need to be in an education environment, I think, where it's a totally different mindset, where people are doing things differently and people are helping each other to succeed, and that success is celebrated. Because in so many educational institutions, it's not.
Yeah. There is nothing wrong with being successful. It shows hard work. I mean, everyone tells you to work hard. Why should you be punished
Exactly.
for being good at it?
It's just so great to hear about somebody who was unsure, but they went and they did it. And now you are building that foundation of stability. 9 properties. There are some people watching this who would love to have one, and you have 9. So, I think you've done a stellar job. And I think, it's going to be very inspirational for some people watching this to have heard your story. So I'm really grateful that you came in and shared your story with us. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. It's been a pleasure to be here. And what's really great about where we've got to now, because it's not just me. I've got my business partner, River, who has been exceptional in helping me to develop. Like I say, it's really hard to do this on your own. Having the network, having the support of the mastermind is incredible. Having my business partner has made things so much easier, and we've managed to become so much more systemized, so much more organized. And it's great that now we're at a stage where people are reaching out and asking us to help them through this as well. And it's great to be able to come onto the podcast to show people that we have done this, we can do it, you can do it too. And people are actually now reaching out to us, asking us to help them find properties that are good investments for them as well. So
great. And if people want to reach out to you, how do they find you?
So you can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn. My name is Hamish Douglas, or you can email me on hamish@lilypadstays.co.uk.
Awesome. Hamish, thank you so much.
Thanks, Sean.
If you would like to learn more about these strategies and how to make them work for you, come on down to our flagship Multiple Streams of Property Income event and learn directly from the UK's leading property experts, Kevin McDonnell, Tony Gargan, and Wendy Bromwell.